How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's Rev here from Rev's Fitness. This video that I've created is basically to give you my entire process, my system for helping people lose weight and tone up, especially coming into summer, and I'm going to give it away for free. Now, the reason I'm doing this, just so you know, is I'd like to think, hopefully, if you implement some of these strategies and you see good results with it, let me know. I want to know that it works for you. I'd hopefully like to think that you tell your friends and family about it, because for myself personally, I've got some very big goals here at Rev's Fitness to reach before the end of the year. One of them being to help enough people to collectively lose 10,000 centimeters. So that's huge, and I'm only going to do that if I'm able to reach out and help more people, right? Does that make sense? So right off the bat, the training style that I use. So the training style that I use is one of two things. We're either doing my sort of swing on high intensity interval training, or we're doing more in the way of an interval training style weight training session, right? And that's something that I use 4 to 5 days per week with 2 to 3 HIIT sessions somewhere sort of drizzled in between, I guess, for use of a better term. Now, the way that I would structure your training or your exercise routine at the moment. So I'm going to try and cover as many different channels as I can in terms of how people usually train. One of them being, you might do a body part split. So you might do something on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It might be like chest and arms, or back and buys, or shoulders, or legs, or maybe even just a glute session, glutes and abs, blah blah blah, cardio, all of that stuff, right? That's all well and good. However, if you've been doing that for a while, if you've been doing that for over about 12 weeks, it's time for a change. One of the things that I always stress to people who I sit down with and have a chat with for the first time is try and get an understanding of their exercise and training routines. And the reason I do that is if 9 times out of 10, the reason they're sitting in front of me is because they've been doing the same thing for 3 to maybe even 4 months and expecting a different result. The beauty of this is that your body is such an awesome machine, and it adapts to whatever you put it through, and that adaptation is what you see in the way of progress. Your muscles grow a little bit bigger, you lose body fat, you burn body fat, you drop weight, you look better, your body gets more toned and more sculpted, right? That's definitely a good thing. But if you don't keep confusing your body, if you don't keep throwing things at it that it's not used to, it'll adapt and it'll never actually show you progress. You'll plateau. Everyone plateaus. Myself, I've plateaued, and then it becomes my responsibility and your responsibility as well to put your body through something a little bit different. So what you can try, if you're doing a body part split, I'll get to the other variations in a second, but if you are doing a body part split, do one of two things. Do either add more sets to a particular exercise. So if you're doing 3 sets of 12, do 4 sets of 12, or ideally 5 sets of 12. That'll really confuse your body. That's enough, believe it or not, to see some new progress. You'll feel sore again. You might be slightly out of breath a little bit more, a little bit faster, but ideally you're just putting your body through that extra bit of volume, those 1 to 2 sets more, that'll yield better results. So that's the first tip. The second tip is to put bigger muscle groups together. Now that works really well for a number of reasons. One, you're shocking the crap out of your body. You won't know what hit it. It's a good thing, trust me. As well as burning more calories within a session. So if you do, a chest and a back session together, you can understand that those are big muscle groups, big muscle groups. So they're going to burn more calories. You're going to burn body fat a little bit faster. You just got to be a bit more mindful of your eating, because your appetite will go through the roof, which is definitely a good thing, because you want to be raising your metabolism. You want to be raising the amount of calories that you're burning throughout the course of the day, which is definitely a good thing. You can put something like legs with, maybe abs or something like that. I don't think it's necessary to put legs with, another bigger muscle group, because they are pretty big as is. Or if you're doing a split or something like where you do cardio and abs, it's worthwhile putting more of those smaller muscle groups in there as well. So if you split up something like, if you do cardio first or you do cardio after your weight training, whatever it is, do something like, do your cardio last, but do maybe calves and abs and maybe triceps. Just think smaller muscle groups. What I deem as bigger muscle groups in general is like your chest, legs, or perhaps you could even break down legs into just doing hamstrings one session, or just doing glutes, your butt one session, or just doing quads, the top of your thighs for one session. Split it up that way and just try and I think at the end of the day, it's really important, again, as I mentioned, just to confuse your body, confuse your routine, shake up your routine. I know it might feel a little bit uncomfortable to start with, but if you change that routine, there's a reason why it feels a bit different. Like there's a reason you might feel a bit confused doing that, and that's a good thing. It's a good place to put your body in so it yields good results again, especially if you've hit a bit of a plateau recently, yeah? So that's the weight training side of things covered if you're doing a body part split, all right? So if you're doing more in the way of, let's say, functional training, or you're doing a lot of interval training, one thing that I'd be mindful of is to be very mindful of how long your sessions are going for and where your intensity is at. A lot of people that I've come into contact with aren't eating enough. You might be eating something like 1,200 calories or maybe even 1,400 calories and busting your backside doing these high intensity interval training sessions, 4 to 5 times a week. And that's all well and good, don't get me wrong, but if you're not eating enough calories, there's a very, very good chance you're under eating, and that's actually putting a big brake pad right in front of your weight loss and toning goals. What'll happen, you have to think about your body as, if you're not eating enough calories and you're not getting enough energy, it'll go into famine. It's kind of like if we're on a deserted island, it'll hold onto our body fat, it'll hold onto all of our water. We'll look a bit softer and a bit more pudgier than we actually should because it thinks, I don't know when my next meal's coming and I haven't got enough energy coming in, so I'm gonna hold onto all of this. Do you know what I mean? It makes sense from a point of view that if you haven't got enough energy coming in, reasonably coming in, even though you need to be in a bit of a deficit to lose weight and tone up and burn body fat especially. But if you've got a ridiculous deficit, I'm talking like 1,000 calories, there's 1,000 calories going out, then is coming in, that's a bit of a problem. You'll find that if your energy levels aren't already struggling, if you find that you're a bit fatigued around, the 2 to 3, 4 p.m. mark, that you're really slumping, it's very, very important, and you should make it a priority, especially with the eating side of things and the high intensity interval training, because it does require more energy to try and get on top of that and make that a priority, yeah? So with the interval training side of things, I know I sort of digress here, but I'm trying to give you all my secrets here. So with the interval training side of things, if you're, say, training, 45-minute sessions 3 times per week, what you could try, if you can make the time, is to bring those sessions and condense them down to 30 minutes and train more frequently. What that's going to do is you'll be able to train a little bit more intense because you're not training for as long, and you give your body that opportunity to burn more calories over the course of the week, not just the day, right? Rest is important, but if you're only doing 30-minute sessions and you're just blasting and you've got your nutrition and you've got your eating covered, then you'll find you'll get faster results that way. Again, it's just something that you can do, something small, something marginal that you can do that's enough to put your body in a state of confusion, to encourage it to yield better results, obviously ideally burning more calories and raising your metabolism, which is obviously a good thing, and just give it that opportunity to be confused, be in a state of confusion, so again it can yield better results. Does that make sense? So another way that you can sort of do that as well is, other than trying to condense those sessions down and do it more frequently, is try and add more resistance training in there. So a lot of the times when people will think about high intensity interval training, it's a lot of body weight stuff, it's a lot of calisthenic stuff, plyometric movement, so a lot of explosive body weight work, which is great. But if you just add like a single kettlebell or a weight vest, it only has to be like 5-10 kilos to that exact session that you've been doing for a while, again, that's enough progressive overload to yield better results, to basically yield more efficient results, because you obviously haven't used that weight vest or that particular weight, that added weight before. So that's enough to put your body in a state of confusion again and therefore yield better results. You just got to think, you've always got to be in a state of, if you haven't got a coach, you've always got to be in a state of, okay, so I've been doing this for a month. What are my results? It's always really good to test and retest. So whether you've taken, and you definitely should, before photos, before and after photos, so you can see the difference in a month, in 4 weeks, because there'll be good results there if you've done your due diligence. So probably off the back of that as well as taking before and after photos, do your measurements. Scales, you're well and good, but it's not going to be a true indication of your body composition, because you might find that you're holding water one day. I myself, even today, right this day, am 95.1 kilos. I woke up this morning, I'm 92 point something or other, right? So I fluctuate a lot, and I just know it's because I'm sucking down water because it's very, very hot today. I think it's about 30 odd degrees. So what I'm getting at here is just always be on top of your training program, yeah? Always be on top of your exercise program. Try and keep your body guessing. You've always got to be 1, ideally 2 steps ahead of what your body is understanding and is adapting to, because if you don't and it adapts, you will hit a plateau, and then unfortunately it's very unmotivating to be doing the same thing without seeing any results. Okay, so that's the training side of things covered. I'm trying to keep this nice and neat. But the nutritional side of things, right, so there's a couple of things. I'm just going to cover some kind of myth busting things, topics that always come up all the time when I have a chat with people for the first time. And one of them is, you know, people say I eat healthy. Well, it's very, very possible, believe it or not, to eat healthy but overeat. At the end of the day, yes, there's a lot of different diets, and there's a lot of different diets for a reason, because we're all unique and we're all going to respond to different styles of eating. There's no one size fits all. I'm sure you've heard that, and I'm sure you understand and you agree with me, yeah? So all of those diets, all of those eating styles, all of those eating guides are all based off one particular principle, and that is just being in a calorie deficit. Very simply, and you've heard it before, I'm going to sound like an old record, but that's okay. There's got to be more calories going out. There's got to be more energy being expended than is coming in. Okay, so if I'm wanting to lose weight and tone up, ideally 300 to 400 calorie deficit, that's pretty sustainable for most people. If I'm burning 2,000 calories, then I only want to be eating 1,600 calories, right? Does that make sense? That's about as simple as I could basically put it. And all of these diets, all of these eating routines, all of these eating guides all go off the back of being in a calorie deficit, because that's how you lose weight. That's how you encourage your body, if you've got the right sort of nutrient balance, to burn body fat and change your body composition and get that, I suppose, that nice toned, sculpted figure, yeah? Does that make sense? So, off the back of that, a couple of things that you could try is, if you're, what's really popular these days? High protein, high fat. That's pretty popular. Ketogenic diets. So the way they sort of work, just to give you a bit of a background, is that you're not so much lowering your calories, you're kind of replacing, proteins about the same for whether it's low carb or low fat or whatever it is, but you're kind of replacing carbs, the calories that you have from carbs with fats, okay? And the ideology is, there's not a huge amount of studies out there that proves that, you know, this works for everyone, which it obviously isn't going to work for everyone, but you're encouraging your body to burn body fat because you're basically using fat as an energy source, because your fats are quite high. Now, these aren't fats that are, you know, bad or deemed bad fats. These are fats that aren't coming from, you know, animal fats. They're, you know, omega-3 fatty acids, you know, fish oil, coconut oil, you know, good fats that's in, you know, nuts and seeds, and what am I missing here? Avocado. How did I forget avocado? If you haven't tried avocado and Vegemite, oh, you are missing out. But yeah, good fats and, you know, a high amount of protein. And the ideology again is that you burn body fat because you are, you know, basically functioning on fat. If you haven't tried it, or if you have tried it, there's this sort of transitional period there where you actually get carb flu. I call it carb flu. You actually get flu-like symptoms because your body's going through a transitional phase of kind of using carbs as energy, and now you're encouraging it to use fat as energy, right? So there's that transitional period that doesn't actually feel that great. I myself, to give you a rundown of what I eat in a day, is 10 egg whites in the morning. So I basically have a high-fat, high-protein breakfast. 10 egg whites, and which is in the carton. I don't crack 10 eggs. What a mission. 10 egg whites and a tablespoon of nut butter. Maver's brand is really, really good. Really, really clean peanut butter. So high protein, high fat. And then around morning tea, I'll have chicken, broccoli, rice, and then lunch I'll have beef, broccoli, and sweet potato. And then my afternoon tea is the same as morning tea, and then my dinner is the same as lunch. Then before I go to bed, protein shake and a tablespoon of nut butter. That works really well for me. I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh yeah, the whole chicken, broccoli, rice stuff. It just works for me. It doesn't seem like a burden. It really isn't a burden for me. It's part of my routine now. You know, I see food as an opportunity to perform a little bit better, to maintain, if not get a better physique, you know, look toned, and just basically live a healthy lifestyle year round. I relax on the weekend, I promise you. Like, everyone thinks that PTs, you know, are just, you know, absolute maniacs all year round. I guarantee you I'm not. I go out and I have gnocchi, I have pasta on the weekend. Donuts and popcorn are my top 5 favorite foods, especially gnocchi. I love a good gnocchi. But yeah, basically what I'm getting at is that you really can, once you dial in the nutrition style and the eating style that works for you, you can relax. You want to be looking for that sustainable option, that sustainable route in terms of eating and nutrition that actually works for you and your routine alone. What I do is not going to work for you. That's why it's best to get a coach to try and understand what's actually going to work for you. Whether you need to look at things like nutrient timing, which is very briefly just, where you can place protein, carbs and fats around your workouts and around what you're doing on different days, because your activity levels will be different on different days, especially on the weekend, to be able to yield better results and obviously just keep your energy levels nice and sustained. One of the big things while we're talking about energy levels is that a lot of people, if not all people, just want to feel good, feel fit and have consistent energy, if not boost their energy. You can do all of those three things quite sustainably with good nutrition and good food, right? So if you want to just keep your energy levels consistent, it's very important that you start to prioritize your nutrition, what's going into your mouth, so that you can do that. One of the things that we do, actually, myself and a good colleague and a good friend of mine, Renee, we developed this this eating guide, which is called Prepped Containers, if you haven't already heard about it. Basically, it's literally just this containers. I'll grab one from down here, but I'll end up pulling the mic out of the phone. But these containers, right, they're literally just 3 compartments. It's your protein, your carbs, and the different sort of complex carbs and vegetables that go into these 2 containers, right? And that's what I did recently for my competition prep. Only because I don't want to have to weigh things. I don't know, you can be pedantic and weigh things. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't work for me. I don't want to have to weigh things. So it's literally just, okay, what protein do I need? Choose one off the list, dump it in the container. Which complex carbs, if you didn't know, basically just the stuff you probably already know about, which is, oats, sweet potato, rice, yams, all of that sort of stuff. And then your veggies. So you work off all of these lists, which is protein, complex carbs, and vegetables. And your vegetables are, fibrous vegetables. Those are your broccolis, your not sweet potato, your broccoli, your green beans, your asparagus, all of that sort of stuff that isn't as calorie dense. So that's why a lot of dietitians refer to them as free foods, because you can eat a ton of them and, not put on weight. Just to give you an example, a bit of a vision here is that 120 grams of chicken is about maybe 180 to 200 calories, whereas 150 grams of broccoli is 35 calories. So that's why you can get away with eating a lot of veg. That's why if you're hungry, eat more veg. So it's not detrimental to your weight loss and toning and obviously sculpting up for summer sort of goal. Do you know what I mean? So one of the offers that I wanted to make to you guys today is the prepped container stuff that we do is really good. It's very sustainable. It isn't for everyone. The people who it's not for is people who, want to be really pedantic about their eating and their nutrition. So if you're weighing your food, if you're counting calories, if you're counting macronutrients and all that sort of stuff, this isn't for you and this won't work for you, because this is very much about, okay, I want to learn about the different types of foods that I should be eating, and I want to just be able to go bang, 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 meal done. So meal prep, in a sense, for me, is really just, okay, what protein am I going to eat for the week? What complex carbs am I going to eat for the week? What vegetables am I going to eat for the week? And that's why it's very good for families in general, because you can literally do a bit of meal prep for about 3 to 4 days. That works really well for everybody, and that's super healthy, super clean, and you don't have to worry about your portions. Like, seriously, portion control is a killer for a lot of people. You can eat healthy, as I mentioned at the start of this video, but if you're not on point with how much is actually going into your mouth, you can overeat with healthy food, yeah? So if you are interested, do let me know, and I'll send you a link to get on board with our little prepped containers. It's really cool because you'll get a link to our Facebook group, and you'll be supported by myself and Renee, my dietitian, personally, with any sort of questions that you have, and I can help you out with your training and your exercise too. But just quickly on nutrition, I know I talked a lot about, high protein, high fat and all that sort of stuff. Just touching on low carb is one of the things you can try right now. You can try it right now. It's a simple little tip to sort of get you off the scales and stop being so pedantic about the scales, is that there's a lot of water weight that you're probably holding right now, especially being a hotter day like it is today, is that you're drinking a lot of water. I'm drinking a lot of water. It's definitely a good thing, but there's a good chance you're holding a few liters of water within your body, which again is a good thing. But if you want to sort of, get an idea as to how much you fluctuate on the scale, is that about 1 gram of carbs will hold 3 milliliters of water. So if you're counting your macros, if you're counting calories as well, and you know how much carbs you're actually having in a day and how much water, that's how you can sort of drop weight on the scale like that within a week. Clients online and both physical that I've had, that I pop them on, just a little crash for a week of, not zero carbs, but moderate carbs, and we replace those with fats. is that they'll drop easily 3 to 4 kilos in a week just of water. And what that does is it gives you a bit more of a toned look. Your clothes fit really differently, but it just gives you that perspective that, you know, the scales aren't the be all and end all. And it sort of, I guess it gives you a bit more of an understanding about how your body responds to being in a low sort of carb deficit. And you'll find that you, as long as you can perform better as well, as long as you can, you know, maintain those energy levels as I mentioned earlier in this video, then that's where you want to be. You want to find that sustainable point that you can, you know, eat healthy, that you can eat what you want on the weekends, that you can, you know, train at a frequency and an intensity that you enjoy, so you can actually look forward to training. Wouldn't that be good if you actually enjoyed going to training, if you actually enjoy exercising, if you're at work and all you can think about is what you're training this afternoon? That's where you want to be. That's where I want you to be, you know, within the next couple of weeks, and especially with your eating as well, because at the end of the day, it's just very much about how sustainable can I make this? Whatever I'm going to start coming into summer and to try and get, you know, that summer bod and that toned look and all that sculpting thing going on, you know, whatever I'm going to start, is it going to be sustainable? And you know, can I get my family on board with this sort of stuff? Is it going to be something that I'm going to yield good results from? At the end of the day, that's a question you've got to ask yourself. Again, if you are interested for our prepped containers little thing, let me know. You get a training program with that as well, by the way, whether you train at a gym or not at the gym, body weight, up to you. But yeah, if you do have any questions, please let me know. Again, the real reason that I want everybody sort of jumping on this is so that I can hit that big 10,000 centimeter lost collectively goal by the end of the year, which would be fantastic. All right, so again, this is Rev from Rev's Fitness. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll talk to you all soon. Have a fantastic day. See you later.